Shea Murtaugh is the founder and CEO of Hoffmann Murtaugh, a nationally recognized integrated marketing agency she launched in 2004 after leaving broadcast sales to build something of her own. Over the years, she's become a respected entrepreneur and strategic leader, helping brands navigate a rapidly changing media landscape with a focus on partnership, measurable results, and emerging tech like generative AI. Shea believes that when creativity, data, and AI work in harmony, marketing becomes not only measurable, but meaningful. In a world drowning in buzzwords, Shea stands out for her ability to turn data into direction and AI into advantage. Sounds pretty good. I'm impressed already. Thank you so much for doing this. It's very kind of you to sort of share your experience with us. I just wanted to start by taking you back a little bit and just to maybe understand what life was like for you in your formative years. Do you think maybe the 16-year-old you would recognize who you are and what you're doing today?
Absolutely not. And I say that only because of the way I grew up. I grew up in a blue collar family. So to be in a position now to say that I started my own business and that it's been successful for the last 22 years, I don't think I would have recognized myself back at 16. But what I would recognize is the fire in me, and that, that I was going to probably do something pretty big. I really always pushed my limits at that age, and I always, things came easily to me. You've probably heard the saying that C students hire A students. Yeah. Just growing up in high school, I guess I was a little bored in high school. And so why am I learning history, all that kind of stuff. So I was kind of a C student, but once I got into college and I got into my major, I got all A's and I got them very easily. So the surprising thing I would say is just the scale of where I've come in 22 years. Now my business, I didn't start until I was about 33. So I did, spend many years just kind of doing some different, radio sales, broadcast sales, and kind of just falling into the entrepreneur path. But what wouldn't surprise me is just not waiting for permission from anyone to actually just go out on my own and do something.
So a lot of people have successful careers, work for somebody else, get a paycheck, and it's all relatively safe depending on the economy, etc. But what was it you think gave you the courage to take that leap into setting up on your own? See, it's a big step to take. You're sort of turning your back on that paycheck, and you're thinking, oh gosh, okay, I've got to eat what I kill, basically. I've got to bring the money in. So what was it that encouraged you or made you finally take that step?
I would say that I was in 100% commission sales.
Okay.
So, so when you're already kind of on your own and you don't really have anything to fall back on, there's no guarantee that the money will come in each month. Yeah. That I think that was the biggest setup for me to be able to do this. And I think that I noticed my clients in what I did was they were struggling with their marketing overall. And so they would lean on me to kind of help them, not just only put them on the radio, but to write the commercial, tell them where else they should run advertising, actually get results. I didn't really have an agency background, but I was able to go in and solve their problem, help them maybe turn marketing as a opportunity to grow their business. And so with that, it just gave me the courage. One day I just kind of said, look, I'm kind of doing this on my own. I went to one of my clients and just said, I'd love to start my own business if you would have interest in letting me start it. And it was in the car industry, which is a very tough industry. If you can handle marketing in the car industry on a tier 3 level, so that's like a local dealer, you pretty much can do anything in marketing, I would say. And so that client, who I'm still friends with, him and his wife today, because they have sold the business, they trusted me and they jumped all in with me. And 22 years later, I still have a business. So, and I do want to throw out there that a lot of people have asked me over the years, did you do this business on the side while you worked? And although some people have been able to do that, I would say that, expecting a parachute while you're about to jump out of a plane, in the world of entrepreneurship is probably not going to get you there, to the levels that I am today.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because so often, particularly these days, we hear about people having a side hustle or something to do, and I think there comes a point where you have to decide either this is going to be it, or not, or that this is going to remain the thing that brings me in a couple of $1,000s a month. It's nice to do. It takes up weekends, evenings, etc. But unless you actually fully commit and you have to give it your all, then I think it's very hard to make it become something of the scale that you've obviously managed to do.
Yeah. And, I've known people that have been able to do it as a side hustle and have, very successful businesses. But, at the time too, my husband, he lost his job 1 month into starting my business.
Ooh, okay.
So the added pressure of I think that just helped me again continue to know that there is no parachute in the life of entrepreneurship.
What do you think that the early years of building the brand and the business taught you about being resilient? I mean, we read lots of books, take courses, watch other people, but when you're actually in there doing it, what do you think it taught you about being resilient?
I'm going to say resilience is not a motivational quote. It's what you do the next morning. And so what that means is there had been so many times where I was just knocked down over and over again. There was one year, I think it was my 4th year in business. I had just hired it was my 3rd year in business. I had just hired my first employee. And within a year, she pretty much took all my clients, and I had to start all over again in year 4. So that was one of my knockdowns that I had to get back up. Another one was entering a year. I think this was a year 5 or 6. I now had about 5 employees, and I entered the year 80% down in revenue. For whatever reason, clients, they switched marketing leaders, or, in business, you can't guarantee that the client's going to stay with you. And so I entered that year 80% down, and I still ended up only 10% down when the year ended. So I, clawed my way back to just staying in business. And so all of those years have really taught me to really the COVID blip that happened. COVID, we resigned our largest client because my team members were quitting over them, and I just didn't feel like getting up every day. It's not for me to be on a beat down. So in resigning our largest client, again, it was mutual. We both parted in a good way. But we ended up still growing 60% that year, even with that, resigning that client. And then, around 2023, a lot of marketing agencies really took a step back, and we were one of them. I entered that year going in again about 60% down, because everybody that through all this marketing then turned around and then decided to make all kinds of changes within year 2023. So, and then again, just, by the time that year was over, I was only down 10%. So I've been really shocked by my resilience. But I think that, that's why entrepreneurs have been successful in business. They literally will not give up.
And is there a sweet spot between long-term ongoing revenue from established clients and then new business?
Yeah. So it is. And we have those clients. My longest running client has been with me for 19 years.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And when they hired me, I was just me when they hired me. And they're actually also my alma mater. They're where I went to school.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm actually giving 25% of my will over to them. Because, not only did I go to school for free as a scholarship there, but they've also been helping my business for the last 19 years. I also have about 10 other clients that have been with me for over 15 years. And so I think it's right. It's finding the right combination of personalities between who leads the client. I think I've done better with other entrepreneur clients that understand what we're going through and what they're going through, and they trust that I'm there to kind of grow their business. My main goal is to grow their business, is to spend as little as possible while growing their business, and then showing a measurement that it's actually working. So,
and I know one of the things with a founder business where somebody starts it and the clients buy into that person, one of the challenges is how to phrase it really is almost weaning the clients off you and onto the business. How I mean, I used to work for a small consultancy, and one of the big things we used to bring in heads of sales and sales directors, but unless they were actually doing the consulting themselves, people wouldn't buy into them. So it always ended up being us, the sort of the senior client guys that actually had to go and do the sales and bring in the business and deliver the business as well. How did you find sort of switching from being the founder and doer and everything to being CEO and leader, and I guess the sort of the guiding light, really?
Yeah, it wasn't easy. I remember the year I had to start switching from doing the work to leading the business, and I fought it. I mean, I was just like, I don't know how to run a business, and I just kept fighting it, to the point where it really, I think the biggest change was hiring great people below you that are actually better than what you can do in that role. And so I literally went out and just found experts in every part of the business that I trusted was way better than me. Okay. So when you say way better than you, it's their skill. They focused in on that skill. They have honed that skill. A lot of my employees come from big agencies. And so they were able to come in here and literally take over what I've built and take it to the next level. And then once you have really good people working for you, then, what's my time about? And so I really started joining one of the groups that has really helped me the most is Women President Organization. That is an international group. They do have chapters in the UK. And we actually went to London last summer and met with a lot of them. But joining that group really taught me all the basics, having a handbook, how to hire and fire, really to get yourself out of the business. I spend every day just saying, if I got hit by a bus tomorrow, not that I want that to happen, would this business keep going? And I feel like over the last couple of years, I have perfected that to the point where the business would keep going. I think the biggest hole I have right now is just business development. So they would keep going, but they probably would run out of food.
How do you decide which clients and business to pitch for? Are there areas, sectors that you specialize in, or is it more general, or is it a field? Because like you can chase after everything and not be successful. You can really hone in and focus on a few areas and be very. What is it like for you?
Yeah, so I would say that the chemistry between us and the leader of that business is the most important. Why? I would say because they have to understand what we do, and they also have to let us do our job. So usually when the agency client breakdown has happened, it has been someone who doesn't really understand exactly what we do, but wants to tell us every day how to do it. And so I would say that was really the biggest reason why I would end up, either not taking on a client or parting ways with a client. And so, so what I look for now, I'm not looking to be the biggest company. I'm looking to make sure that my people are taken care of, that they want to show up at work every day, that they love what they do, that the clients we work with really care about us and we care about them, because the industry is very brutal. I mean, it's changing so fast. And so my job is to just make sure that I keep my team ready to go for all the changes, and then also keeping my clients ready to go for the changes. I'm talking to my clients about things that are happening 3 years from now, and they're not ready for the change. And I do tell them, well, we got a little time, but I'm just preparing you that this is coming and we're going to have to be ready for it. And so that is, I think, the biggest reason why I've been able to keep clients for as long as we have.
I mean, you've already sort of touched on it, I guess, over the course of 20 years, the landscape and the focus and media and social media and smartphones, all those things have evolved and developed and that weren't necessarily there when you started off. How do you see AI impacting the market? Does it feel different than the other changes that came about, or is it just another change in the cycle of business?
It is the most exciting change that I have seen in my business, in my life. Because AI is not replacing the human judgment. It is exposing where judgment is missing. And so when you look at that, when you look at what AI can do, it literally is a tool. And a lot of people are using it incorrectly because it lets it be the brain. When I am in there using AI, and I'm pretty much in there about 5 hours a day now, using learning language models. I have to keep resorting it back. I have to go back and say, I already gave you this information. And so if you are very skilled in what you do, AI is just a great tool to help you really go faster. It also creates a lot more output that you could on your own. With being and using AI now in my industry, my business, I'm probably outputting about 100 hours worth of time that I'm doing in probably 40 hours right now. And so leaders must decide, what is useful, what is true, and what is strategic in AI. And the winners will combine AI with creativity, ethics, data, and human judgment. And it is not, we're going to replace any kind of leadership. If anything, leadership will increase more with the use of AI. And so I'm just very excited about it. And I think it's going to literally change it's already changed my business. We are on a growth pattern after dealing with the 2023, 2024 COVID height and drop. We're growing right now. And I believe that AI and how I'm using it and how I'm leading my team to use it and our clients is why we're growing so much.
Do you find any challenge with clients or potential clients making the mistake of thinking that the AI tools that are out there, that they can replace some of the things that you do? And I do say make the mistakes. I've talked to businesses before, and it's we don't need this anymore. We've gone off and we can use AI to create it. And then 2 months later, they're like, yeah, we can't do that. We can't use AI, and they've really shot us down. Are you finding that that's one of the challenges, that because there's so much hype around AI and what it can do, and it's amazing, and it can replace this and replace that? Is that one of the challenges you come up against when you're talking to clients?
So I would say some of our clients were not going to adopt it at the beginning. And so, I've been using it for 3 years now. And I was pretty much, holding their hand through it and just saying, look, I understand that you're not going to adopt it, but you need to look at this as just another tool that you can use to help you grow what you do in your job. And so I would say that early on, I heard a lot of pushback of we're not going to use it, or that's always wrong. And in the beginning, it was wrong. I remember my first really experimentation of using it. I had said to look up who started my company, and it brought 2 men from I don't even know where. It was like John Hoffmann and Michael Murtaugh started Hoffmann Murtaugh, And so early on, I wasn't sure. And again, that was about 3 years ago. I wasn't sure I was going to believe that this was going to work. So, but it's become much more faster and smarter. And now all of our clients are really adopting it. I started a business at the beginning of this year. I haven't launched my first collective, but it's called Leap Shift AI. And really, I'm going to take on a collective of probably 20 business leaders to start, marketing professionals. I'm going to teach them how to use AI to possibly replace me. And when I say replace me, they're never going to replace the manual process of marketing. And so those are the things that I can teach them to kind of say, hey, these are some of the things that you can bring into your own team that could maybe replace a marketing firm, right? But the thinking and the experience and all of that, that is the thing they're not going to be able to get through AI right now. What they can get is if they learn how to prompt it correctly, they could use and tap into some of the most experienced, fascinating brains in the world.
Yeah.
And so I'm teaching them how to do that. But will it category kill the marketing industry? I don't think so, but it is going to change who survives and how we almost charge for what we do. The hourly model will go away. And the leaders of tomorrow will really be using AI to really help their clients take them to a level they never saw possible.
And is this part of the new, I think you're developing a new internal AI tool, NBrain? Is that what this is?
So NBrain is the company that we're using to build the tool.
Yep.
The tool we're settling right now, we haven't finalized it, but we're thinking about calling it Ada. And that's after Ada Lovelace, who was a pioneer in computer programming and algorithm back when there weren't even computers. And we also want to call Ada, artificial decision architecture. And so that's what we're thinking right now about naming our brain. But the brain will be, LLM agnostic. It's literally going to take, there's 5 modules that will be built. We're on our 2nd module right now. That will really take everything manual we do. We have about 20 clients right now. 1 module is going to be on reporting. Right now, reporting takes manually about 5 people touching a report that takes them a total of probably 2.5 hours. We just launched the module, and the team right now, who tends to be skeptical about AI, is playing around with it now, and it's giving out I wouldn't say perfect output. I would say 99% of an output right now is where I think I read on Friday where it is right now after many, many, going through and fixing. So now in as little as 10 minutes, we will have an output PowerPoint that is in the client's PowerPoint look design, and have all of the things that took us 5 people in 2.5 hours. Now, again, AI is the tool. We are the brain. So then from there, the VP of media strategy will then go in and take the information and then formulate the strategy behind what the reporting is saying. So the team, instead of spending their 40 hours a week doing, manual work, now they're going to probably get about 15 hours a week back each to actually be strategic, which is what companies will be paying for in the future.
I totally agree, and I think one of the opportunities or challenges that we'll face is that when a team saves 5, 10, 15 hours, or individuals suddenly find that time they've got back, it's how to educate them, guide them as to what to do with that time. Because what we don't necessarily want is them just do more of the same stuff. So if you're doing 100 reports before, you can do 170 reports now. That's not really the point. It's what can we do to help you actually develop other skills, other opportunities, other things that perhaps you're passionate about with that time. That's something I think is going to be important.
Yeah, and I think there is going to be a true situation going on where, right now I am overstaffed. I don't want to let anybody go. And so I'm building the team that I need for scalability. And so with the scalability that is coming right now, I'm not going to hire more people. I'm giving them the tool or a brain to actually tap into so that they can output more work, but then do it more strategically, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of how fragmented the media landscape has become over the last decade and more, do you see that continuing, that it'll fragment even more? Or I guess what I'm sort of trying to get to is whether marketing becomes so individual and so much about a business's DNA and proposition. It can really, really tailor itself to exactly the right audience and the right medium and the right market and the right sector. Do you find it's becoming more and more precise?
So you've heard of performance marketing.
Yeah.
So right before COVID, that was the big buzzword. Down at the bottom of the funnel, businesses just wanted proof. Okay.
Yeah.
So they sat and completely ignored the awareness and engagement parts of the funnel, which it's an inverted triangle. So awareness is where you put most of your money.
Yeah.
And so what happened after COVID, and we got into these years, 23, 24, 2025, businesses did not survive in performance marketing only. And so when we say, is it a noisy world of media? It's just going to keep getting noisier. But clarity is going to win. And, so if you trust the full funnel marketing, that in my opinion is not going away. Companies need, first of all, consumers need to know who is your company? What does it stand for? Amazon is one of the largest marketers, spenders in the world. Why are they still spending a ton of money on marketing? Everybody knows who they are because they believe in that awareness as being the top. Once that awareness goes away, because everybody's so fickle, you end up looking and going, oh my God, here's the new Amazon. Here's the new whatever, right? LLMs are experiencing that right now. Yeah. You got ChatGPT. I've decided to stay with ChatGPT for now, even though, Claude's having a moment. A couple months ago, Gemini was having the moment. And so, we're all so fickle, right? And so I think companies that are going to really win are going to really hone in on taking their paid, earned, shared, and owned media channels, bringing them all together, knowing how to use them all correctly, knowing how to stay within the budget. Your budget might be $100K for the year. If your budget's $100K for the year, you can't go on expensive national television. You can't go on, maybe your awareness is just some billboards around your location. So, I do want to say that traditional media is not dead too. People want to continue to just kind of beat up on television or linear TV. Linear TV still has a place. And so you have to figure out how to use it. It really is appointment viewing. It's a Super Bowl, right? People are appointment viewing. They're sitting there, they're watching it live on linear television. And so knowing how to use the traditional channels. What's coming is very exciting. Why do we think our cars are going to drive themselves? Really, it's so we are safer and we can work in our car. Driving wastes a ton of time.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen in a car? Now we're going to have in your car marketing, right? Our dashboards, which I think Ford just announced is bringing out the first advertising dashboard in the car. Our dashboards are going to be talking to us. Our dashboards are going to be marketing to us. AI right now, I know they're working with very large clients, just like when Hulu launched as a smaller marketer, you could not jump on Hulu. They were only working with the largest brands. Now you can buy Hulu very easily as a smaller brand. What's happening in LLMs? They're now testing out marketing. I'm in ChatGPT and I could start getting marketed my answers, right? And so we're seeing that also with AEO, which is SEO, which is artificial engine optimization. There's GEO. So we're going to continue to keep seeing a bunch of other things coming at us. And I think that's why you need a marketing agency. How do we get through the noise? How do we pick what matters? How do we spend our money correctly? And how do we get proof at the end of what we're doing?
You said a lot there, and it's funny. A few of the things you mentioned, I was literally going to talk about this. So, well, people literally tune into Super Bowl for the ads, in lots of cases. In the UK, we have a long tradition of retailers' Christmas ads, so the John Lewis ads or the Tesco ads or the increasingly Amazon ads. And it is fascinating actually when you're saying it, that if you think about some of the adverts that you've seen most recently, most of those are for major global firms that actually think, well, surely everybody knows them already. Why would they need to do more? But I think one example came to mind, I guess, as how maybe three companies that perhaps offer the same thing market themselves differently. You think of Coca-Cola, Red Bull, and Prime. Or in terms of longevity, so Coca-Cola have been out for hundreds of years. Their stated ambition is to have a third tap in every house that delivers Coke straight to hot tap, cold tap, and the Coca-Cola tap. They've dominated the market forever. And then Red Bull come along with this drink that nobody likes the taste of. They put in a can that's smaller than a Coke can and charge more money for it, and have a $4, $5, $6 billion business. And you have Jake Paul and his gang bring along Prime, and it suddenly becomes kids are sort of trading in the playground and becoming, but each one of them has a very, very different
niche.
Yeah, it's almost sort of flavor is the wrong word, but almost a particular flavor of marketing. The things that work for Coke and wouldn't work for Prime. Things that work for Prime, sponsoring WrestleMania, etc., and wouldn't work for Red Bull. It seems to be they seem to grab the zeitgeist at a particular time, I think.
So what brings up for me what you're asking about right here is you think of the Poppy. Coca-Cola turned around and bought Poppy.
Yeah.
For I want to say it was like $500 million. It was a lot of money. But Poppy was built as a healthy alternative to soda that was supposed to work on your gut, right? Help your gut. And so when you got brands like Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola can be everybody's drink. These other brands tend to be niche brands that are certain people's drinks, right?
Yeah.
And so when you get into marketing and you launch a brand, it is so important that you understand exactly who your target audience is and you target that audience. You can't be everything to everyone like a Coca-Cola can. They just have millions and trillions of dollars to just throw that name Coca-Cola everywhere at our faces, right? And so, and you can see that Coca-Cola, every time somebody builds a niche product, they go and buy it. Pepsi goes and buys it. Those companies will continue to say, "Oh my God, that's a category killer. They're breaking into our category, and let's go buy them." And that's what I think you'll continue to see that happening.
Do you let me rephrase that. So something you said before about we're starting to see within our different artificial intelligence models, we're starting to see adverts coming through for those. And it was only a few years ago, there were no adverts necessarily on Facebook, there were no adverts on Amazon Prime TV, whatever. I think we're just much more used to clicking through or clicking on or seeing adverts in our daily life and marketing. I don't think we're offended by it, because often a lot of the certainly the TV networks, you can buy up to avoid buying the adverts, but most people stick with the advert version. And I think people are just used to seeing that. And I think one of the clever things that Amazon Prime's done, so when we watch in the UK, the advert will come along, you can sort of click on your phone, it'll put the product you're seeing on TV straight into your basket. And so do you think we're going to get more of those sort of almost shop from the TV type experiences?
So the winners of marketing will get so targeted down to their person that people will welcome the marketing. A bad targeted ad to the wrong person brings up that advertising, right?
Yeah, like, why am I seeing this? What's it going to do? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And we saw that with, I think it was Netflix. Netflix went from was it Netflix? One of them went from no advertising to opening up a cheaper
Netflix
membership with advertising. Guess where everybody moved? The cheaper membership with advertising. Why? Because all of this stuff costs a lot of money. Like, we want content. We're okay if we have to see advertising, if the advertising is targeted correctly. We're okay with seeing advertising if it's targeted correctly It speaks to us. I have bought a lot of products. Oh, geez, TikTok gets me every time. I spend usually around 10 o'clock at night when I'm just, it's been a long day. I might just go on TikTok for an hour and I feel like I get lost in TikTok where I just can just completely zone out of my life. And I turn around and will buy like everything I'm marketed to because they market you so good, right? And so I'm going to see that. I think advertising is here to stay. I think that the privacy and the not letting advertising follow you. I think that that's great for those who don't want it.
Yeah.
But I'm here for it. Follow me. Find things that I like. Start taking my advertising and put it toward me personally. I love it, and I think we're going to continue to see that.
Yeah. What does success look like for you?
Success is an internal thing. Success is not what other people think of you. It's what you think of yourself.
Okay.
As my company, people will say to me all the time, "Oh my God, look at this business you built. What an amazing business." And I'm just like, geez, I just scratched the surface. I think I could be so much more. But I'm fine with where I am. But I feel way more successful than I ever thought I could be. Right. The fact that, you asked that question at the beginning, if you would have asked the 16-year-old me, if you would have told the 16-year-old me that when you were in your 50s, you would own an incredible business. And I always like to throw out that I have never borrowed $1 for my business and I've never lost $1. So in these 22 years, I have never had to finance the business and I've never not made profit. And so to say to a 16-year-old, wow, in your 50s, you're going to own this incredible business that takes care of other people, gives them a great quality of life and a work-life balance. Everybody works from home. Nobody really works more than 40 hours a week in the marketing industry. That's unheard of. And that you would just love your life and you would feel free to pretty much do whatever you want in your 50s, 60s, and 70s. I wouldn't believe it. I don't think I would believe it. And so I guess, did I answer your question?
No, you did. And I think it's a lot of people. A lot of people's success depends on external validation.
Correct.
And I think
you'll never be happy if you live comparing yourself.
And I think you very much internalize and I think success should mean something different to each person. Do you feel that you could sell a business, walk away and be happy doing something else? Or is a business just you?
So I'm probably never going to sell the business. I guess one would say never is a strong word. I look at it as my retirement. In meeting with, I just moved to a different wealth manager, and in talking with the person who leads that company here in Pittsburgh, he said something to me that really stuck with me and has stuck with me since. Mm-hmm. It's been 2 years. He said this to me. Your retirement funds, like your 401k, your mutual funds, that's not your retirement. Your business is your retirement. You can make way more money for your retirement than just collecting an 8% return on average, right? And so since I've heard that statement, I have been really thinking about how my business can actually sustain me in my retirement. And so when I say I probably will never sell it, I think I would sell parts of it. Okay. Like I might sell percentages of it, maybe still control at least the controlling percentage and really be the chairman because my gift to the business is really the visionary piece. Yeah. And that's very hard to replace in a business. And so really just looking at marketing and knowing what is coming 3 to 5 years from now and building the business to get there is the thing that I would be doing in my later years in business. And when I went a little backwards, and the times I've gone backwards, that's when you do start to feel like you just want to throw in the towel. and sell your business. But those are also the times that you really wouldn't get anything for your business.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So in evaluating the times, I did look at evaluating maybe possibly bringing my business into a collective back when it started to take that turn.
Yeah.
And that was, to me, it was feeling like a little bit of giving up,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't do it. But when they evaluated my business, I would make more, and what they would pay me, I probably would make more in the next 5 years than what they would pay me
Yeah.
to sell my business.
Mm.
And so what do I do then? I start over, I start something else. I have started other businesses that to me are really my part of my retirement phase. And so, yeah, so I don't think I'll ever sell it. I do feel that it has become me. There was a time where I could have had children. We did try to have children, and we did not end up having any children. And I actually put my whole self into my business. So in a way, I kind of look at it as my 22-year-old child. And I am very passionate about it. So
there's a word I really don't like, but I can't think of a better word really. But here's when people talk about work-life balance.
yes.
And I think the whole notion of balance is just misinformed. It sort of suggests that everything is 50-50 and there's a balance. And I think certainly talking to you, I don't get a sense you think, right, I'm gonna have half a life does this, half a life does. How does work, non-work, how does that sort of fluidity work in your life?
It starts with the leader of the company. I do believe my team does have work-life balance. I put up a post for Mother's Day. I am not a mother, but I do have a lot of moms that probably would have not worked had they not come here.
Yeah.
And so I know people say work-life balance is impossible, but the way I run my business is I got you 40 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
So those 40 hours, although you might be getting your kids off the bus in the morning, you might be running to a game at some point, just focus on our clients and this business for 40 hours a week. You don't need to do more. I think there's a lot of businesses out there, especially in marketing, where they have their people working 70 hours a week. And it's mainly because they're either forcing them into an office. In the office, you lose about 20 hours of productive time in an office. This is why I've never had an office. We've always been virtual. And so I'm expecting my people to say, don't waste any time during the day. Spend all your time outside of work on your family. And I do believe we've created a strong work-life balance. Even I don't work probably more than 40, 50 hours a week. There was a time when I started the business, I was working 12-hour, 15-hour days. Because I was doing everything. I did everything the business, I was running it. I was doing the finances. I was billing clients. I was doing their marketing. And it took for me to really hire those smart people to work for me, to be able to let go of every piece of those parts. And so I do believe you can have both. And it really comes from leadership. Leadership has to believe that their employees can have both. And I think that leading with that is why I think we've been able to attain it.
How do you think your team would describe you as a boss?
Maybe a bull in a china shop.
I don't get that at all. Okay.
I have had to spend so much time working on myself to be the best leader I could be today. And I would say my early years, there was a time that people didn't like working for me. I'm very direct. I'm very no nonsense. I probably will say you messed up. And I've had to really spend the last couple of years evolving into the best leader I could be.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that the ones that have been with me the longest, and I have half my team has been with me for almost over 10 years. And with that, they get a ton of perks. When you hit your 10-year mark, we cover 100% of your insurance.
Mm-hmm.
When you hit your 5-year mark, you get 6 weeks vacation.
Wow.
And we also close between Christmas and New Year's. So there's a lot of perks to staying. My 401k, I invest, they're invested already. They could pick up tomorrow and they get to keep every dollar they put in there plus the match, right? A lot of companies will hold on to people to make them stay for 5 years to get vested in their 401k. And so What would my employees say about me today? I would say that they would see me today as the best version they've ever seen me. But that comes with maturity. That comes with confidence. That comes with really being able to deal with the ups and downs of business. Being an entrepreneur is definitely bipolar. You have to be ready for ups and downs that might kill you.
Mm.
And then being able to show up every day and not let your team feel that you're worried or that you're scared. And so I would say 5 years ago, the Shea they saw 5 years ago is definitely not the Shea they see today. And so I do think that because I've changed, because I've grown, because I've matured, I'm just going to take care of my employees. So amazing. Like they'll be so happy they stayed with me.
That's nice. If you would sort of step away from thinking about the business for a minute, what are the experiences in life in general that have shaped your worldview?
I would say not being a mother. I've told people this before. It doesn't bother me to say it, but I had 4 pregnancies. So it's not like I didn't try.
Yeah.
I had to go into science to be able to become a mother, and that just wasn't for me. So I would say that shaped me. I would say the way I grew up. I grew up in a home that, sometimes when I say this, people are like, what? Extreme hoarding. I really couldn't talk about that until after my parents passed away. But, when you grow up in a house where there's just kind of trash everywhere and you kind of have to go through little pathways to get to the rooms, and then you grow up that way, and then you have pathways throughout your room. I knew that I did not want to live that way when I became an adult. Having people call in, lights being shut off, water coming through the ceiling, pots and pans, creditors calling every day, all day long, ringing the phone. All of that made me say to myself, I will not have debt. I will live within my means. I will work and make more than I need. I will not spend more than I need to. My husband stopped working about 10 years ago, and just giving him the freedom to do what he wants every day. It's because he has worked so hard with us to kind of save the money that the business brings in, to kind of make us, I probably would have spent it all because that's how I grew up. But he really worked hard to make sure that we didn't have to look back and say, oh my God, living paycheck to paycheck. That just in itself gives you so much freedom.
Yeah.
As a person. And so I would say all of these things really shaped me into who I am today.
That's a fabulous answer.
I do want to add one thing.
Cool.
I think working in corporate America also, most entrepreneurs cannot work for other people. And so that also shaped me into actually going out on my own. Having a corporate America environment for the first 10 years of working, I saw that I got passed over. I saw that because I was 100% commission, I brought on my own clients, that we're not going to give her any clients. She's going to go out there and bring them in herself, seeing people get promoted, not me. Seeing more males in leadership. And I don't tend to pull a woman card ever. I think we're all humans and we decide our fate. It doesn't matter what our genders are. But just seeing around me that men were really all leading in corporate America, we're leading all the hiring, the promoting and everything. I wasn't polished enough. I would say what I thought, and they don't like that. And so that's another thing that shaped me into probably just becoming an entrepreneur.
And that's a really topic I'm really, really fascinated by. And I do think there's a lot of, we sort of, in the UK, I'm not sure if it translates, but in the UK, we talk about the wool being pulled over your eyes. So you get a lot of big corporate firms bring out their ESG reports. Say, look, we've got 50% men, 50% women. Why isn't that great? If you dig a tiny bit below the surface, you look at where the women's roles are, where the men's roles are. And then even at a board level, they might say, oh, we've got 6 board members that are men, 6 board members that are women. Isn't that wonderful? But again, when you look at it, actually, all of the board members went to private school, or went to an Ivy League university, or worked for McKinsey or Deloitte, or worked. So
Yes.
they're the same people. I don't care if you're a man or I was the same as you. So my dad, granddad, great granddad, as it says, they're all coal miners. So my background, my mum used to sort of work as a cleaner. My background is not in white collar at all. And I did what you do, sort of pull myself up and got on with it. But I do think there's a lot of talk about equality, but actually I think equality of experience and lived experience and life is something we've still got a long way to go in terms of bringing that to the fore. Because otherwise, everybody that leads a business, it's the same person, really. You can replace them and replace them with a man, with a woman, man, woman. It's the same person.
Yeah. I'm surprised how far behind we really are in
Yeah.
2026. You know, I do. I have to stop myself every day and say it is 2026 and things are very similar
Yeah.
to how they were in 2020, in 2000, you know?
Yeah. One of the things that you have to do as a leader of a business and owner of a business and basically somebody that pays for other people to eat, you've got to show up every day. And I wondered how you look after yourself. How do you nurture your physical, but also your mental well-being? Do you come across as you look great, you sound great, you come across very, very intelligent. How do you nurture yourself?
Well, I sleep a lot.
Okay. Sleep is so, I was talking to somebody the other day on a podcast about sleep, and it's so underrated in terms of how important it is.
Yeah, if you meet a corporate CEO, they're up at 4 a.m. on the treadmill, at work by 6, you know. The entrepreneurial life, I mean, one of the main reasons why I started the business was just so I could sleep in. Like that was one of the first reasons I started it. And when I say sleep in, I'm talking like 7, right? Because, you know.
If you said that's about teenage children in the summer holiday, they were like, she's saying sleeping is 7, what? Well, I think my daughter sometimes, she's at college for her first year. She sometimes doesn't go to bed till 6.
Yeah. Like, so I think people think, well, 7 a.m., that's really not sleeping in. But to a CEO, that is.
It is, yeah.
You know, 7:30. And then I'm not jumping up and rushing onto a treadmill. I do make exercise work because I believe that's an important part of longevity. And, you know, I don't get the stress release from it. I wish I did. But, you know, I get up, I'm having my coffee, I'm reading, I'm relaxing, I'm entering my day very non-chaotic. And so, you know, so I find, you know, how do I keep myself? I really believe in therapy. I do work with a great coach that actually works with CEOs, and she works with, you know, professional athletes and, you know, celebrities. And she's really, you know, I don't go just to like a medical therapist, you know, and then the insurance pays for it. This is more like a coaching therapist. I call it like a business therapist, you know, because you really do. Someday you're just so beaten down, you don't even know how you're getting up the next day, right? And that has helped a lot. I do make time for myself. I do not work on the weekends. I try not to. Like I said, there used to be a time where I was just working nonstop. And for most people, it appears I am working nonstop. For everybody I talk to, they're like, I don't even, you must never sleep. You know, I have like 5 different companies. One's a digital trade desk. One is an interior design company. I just started this AI collective. I'm like, I sleep. I probably put in, you know, with all the companies, maybe 50 hours a week. I take care of myself. I exercise. I try to eat right. That doesn't always work. I have to have some wine, you know, so I believe in drinking wine. But I think starting with the mental well-being comes from the inside outside. And I think that's why most people are saying to me right now, wow, you look so young. Wow, you know, I didn't let the beat down of life and the business take me over.
Well, what do you think I was going to say, what do you think the future holds for you? But I think you've already touched on that. There's to be more and more business, AI focused growth, the future. But what excites you most about the future?
Um, I would say, I think right now, anything's attainable. Um, having that mindset, it's not always possible, but anything's attainable, right? Right now, I can't say what it is, but I have been working with the UK a lot more.
Mhm.
I have two different companies. One, I'm working with them doing their North American marketing for a travel company that's based in Canada. And another one, we just got hired to do some strategy work for a browser, to do some video strategy in the United States. And so, those things so excite me. Being on a bigger stage is, I think, what's going to be my future. I feel that I finally hired a great number two in command. I've known him for several years. And he just kind of came to me after looking for so many years. It just kind of morphed into hiring him. And I finally now have that great second operator that is running the business. So to me, the sky's the limit right now. And I feel it too. I feel that, the future is bright. I feel that in the next 10 years, are going to probably really scale this business.
Yeah.
With having AI and all the different things, at my fingertips. Using Gen AI is really just puts me in the same room as some of the largest companies in the world, because now I can tap the same brains that they have. So yes, the sky's the limit right now, and I'm very excited about that. I'm excited about the opportunities that the agency is finally getting. Opportunity is always the hardest part of owning a business.
Yeah.
Is actually getting into the right rooms and getting invited into the right places. And that's always been the biggest challenge, I think. But it seems that right now things are starting to finally go our way.
And then my final question, because you've been very generous with your time, I really appreciate it. But my final question would be, and this is a slightly selfish question. So I mentioned my daughter. I've got a daughter that's 19, a son that's 16. He's in the middle of his sort of school exams now. Madeline's just finished her first year at uni. And I think a lot of young people perhaps are nervous about the future. They keep reading about, keep hearing about, hey, how's coming for your jobs? What many jobs out there? All these junior level positions are going to be gone, whatever. And I wonder what you would say, and maybe what even you'd say to your 16-year-old, 17-year-old self about taking that risk, trusting in yourself, and building a life on your own terms. What would you say to that generation? That's a big question to finish with.
Yeah, but I think there's never been a bigger time for people to be entrepreneurs. I think they're saying that really is the future. If you can't have a future, create your own. And I do think that the younger generation is not as afraid to be an entrepreneur as, I'm in the Gen X generation. And so we were much more afraid to be entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs, when I was growing up, you had to have an office, you had to have full phone system, brick and mortar. Like, it seemed unattainable, right?
Yeah.
And when I started my business, I had a computer and it was me, right? So I had a laptop. I think I had a cell phone, but you couldn't text or anything yet. So I think what I would say to somebody today is learn your craft, learn it without an AI tool. Use AI to teach it to you. The reason why Gen X is the largest adopter of AI tools, and I don't know if you knew that, followed by baby boomers, then millennials, then Gen Z, is because we have all the knowledge to actually use the tool correctly.
Yeah.
I can't use AI to be in the law industry. Now, I will use it to help me maybe think about the law in my business, or how to use the law, or to maybe educate me on the law. But at the end of the day, when that output comes out, I can't guarantee that output is correct.
Yeah.
But in marketing, I know that output is correct or not. And so that's why Gen Xers are so adopting LLMs, because we're like, we know the information is correct. We know it's wrong. We now know how to fix it. We know how to prompt it. We know how to continue to get the best output, because it's all in here. Okay. And so I would tell the younger generation, whatever craft you want to be in, spend so much time learning it. Watch videos, listen to Audible podcasts when you're jogging, read books, learn the craft, learn your craft. AI will not replace what you learn about what you can do. I do believe that learning how to use AI will be very important to the younger generation, using it correctly.
Yeah.
So if I could hire somebody right now out of college and they show me, this is what I'm doing in AI. I'm creating custom agents. I'm creating projects. I'm creating strategies using AI. Now, I might not be sure that what the strategy is coming out is correct. And I say, well, that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so I would say if you know how to use all the tools, Claude with all the like Claude is just having such amazing things happening right now, and I have to get in there and learn it more. If you can learn how to help a Gen Xer or a baby boomer or a millennial use the tool, maybe not know if the tool output is correct, use it correctly. That's a big place for somebody that you could hire somebody right out of college and just be like, you're going to help us build all this. You're going to help us. You might not know if it's correct or not, but I know that you know how to use these tools. So, but yeah, I hope that answered your question. That, and if we think back to the Depression era, we think about when we had this collapse of 07, 08 in the banking industry, we've all survived it.
Yeah.
I don't think that these kids today, for what they're facing, is going to be any different than any of us faced when we went through it ourselves. So they just need to get on board. They need to know that this is what today is. Things are not going to come easy. The strongest, unfortunately, will survive. And they just have to believe in themselves.
Perfect. Thank you so much. It's been really inspiring to listen to somebody that's just been there and done it and decided to do it, and is now enjoying the rewards, but has a massive passion for what comes next. So thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you so much for the time and the opportunity to talk with you.